So South Africa is in a crisis, and I want to tell you why. So within the past month, South Africa has deported over 53,000 migrants from all over Africa, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Somalia. People are getting killed, people are drowning, there's a lot happening. So let's dispel some of the confusion that's happening here. So my question is, how can a country that was once a symbol of resistance against social oppression develop tension between its African migrants? That's what I want to truly ask. So let's ask the why. Why is this actually happening? I think it's multifactorial. Well, actually, the truth is it's multifactorial. But I do think the one element that we all have to look at is scarcity. People don't feel like there's enough resources to go around, right? So let's see how is this actually getting interpreted. So one, I want to talk about the economic inequality that has been burdening South Africa since the apartheid. So in 1994, when the apartheid happened, this actually changed a lot of things politically, where finally black people were able to vote, were able to attend certain places, institutions. But in terms of economically, things basically just stayed the same, where a majority of the power and land was concentrated in the hands of a few. So approximately 10% of the power and wealth in South Africa, even in terms of the resources, the 10% control about 85% of the land. So second, I want to talk about how colonialism created a hierarchy of belonging. So post-colonialism, there were four different categories, racial categories that were created in South Africa. So those are the whites, the black Africans, the Indians, and the colored people. And this basically was able to determine where you could go to school, what kind of jobs you could have, etc. And that's still pronounced till this day. Lastly, I want to talk about the false political narratives, because there is a lot of political frauds in South Africa, if I have to say. And a lot of them are pushing false narrative as to why the economic hardship is burdening their country. So this basically just allows for simple, easy votes, right? Because if I can tell you, hey, you're not able to put food on your table or send your kid to school because of that migrant right there from Malawi, it's a lot easier for you to vote to me, because I can show you A equals B, 1 equals this. So let's move on to something that's a bit more profound now. Let's see, how does this actually implement or impact the individual or the society as a whole? So the question here becomes, as a South African, I'd be asking myself, who is responsible for my lack of opportunity? So if I'm thinking the black migrants are usually going to become the targets because they're highly visible, either working in informal businesses or low wage jobs, it's a lot less likely for me to point at the white South African sitting in his mansion in the Western Cape. Whereas if the person right underneath the street that's running the bodega or the little sausage shop is from Malawi or from Zimbabwe, I can say, hey, that's him. He's taking the job that I'm supposed to have, or his employees that he's employing are from his country, but they should be South African. So again, here it's a kind of a problem of proximity. The more visible you are to me, the more I'm able to point something and say, hey, you did that. So here, we need to ask ourselves, actually, it goes a bit deeper than this, because it's more of a human instinct in itself, right? Because we can ask, why do humans sometimes direct frustration towards groups that are visible rather than actual complex, more deeper causes, i.e. political reform, or what we can call as things that have happened in the past, such as colonialism? How is colonialism still shaping the disparity and inequality that I'm having right now? So this can actually all be deducted to a concept in psychology called the scapegoat theory. So this is a phenomenon where we tend to blame a problem that has multiple complex issues on something that is so simple. So here the problem becomes about justice, truth, and moral reasoning. So all in all, the brain usually prefers a clear enemy over complicated explanation. And we also do like to protect our inner identities. So if I'm part of a church or a sports team, we see this get really, really pronounced in, for example, in FIFA and the World Cup, as you can see how passionate some people are about their country, which can usually start to cause maybe racism towards other people just because they're not part of my group. And when we get into politics or inequality, when I feel like it's a resource thing, that just exacerbates that. My brain kind of sometimes plays tricks against me, and people feel stressed, scared when they feel like they don't actually have the power to control their situation. If I feel like in order for me to get proper opportunities, I have to make political reforms, I have to do all this, get in bureaucratic meetings, my brain's gonna start like, okay, that's way too much stress, that's gonna take way too much time, and I'm probably not gonna see the actionable outcomes of that right now. Where if my brain instead says, hey, if I put this person on this taxi and they get on this ship back to their country, then that opens up the opportunity for me to get that job. My brain's gonna like that a lot more. But now we need to actually ask ourselves, what is the solution to this? Because we just can't keep giving up problems without giving solutions. So in my mind, or not in my mind, actually practically, this is definitely the way that people should try attacking this. So the first one we should try, South Africa should try to create more economic opportunities. So this means that the government should invest more in entrepreneurship, in businesses, in vocational work, try to get these people to have proper skills and expertise such that they can deploy that in meaningful ways to get it and come back into their pockets. Number two, political corruption. Political corruption in South Africa, it's like next to none. There's so much going on in political corruption. There's a lot of people that are self-interested and want all the money and resources to them. So me as a South African citizen, hypothetically, I'd be thinking, how can this political agent help me if they're unable to even manage the resources that we're giving them? So how can they actually, how do I expect them to be able to take out or deport illegal immigrants justifiably without them being even capable of giving me the resources that I am entitled to as a South African? Three, we need more informative initiatives such like this one, where everyone's more informed. All the political narratives and propaganda that certain people are trying to push are out the way, and we can actually start working towards reasonable solutions to this problem. Hooray!